Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Podcast Game Deferred. I am your host, Seven. With me is the sexiest man in Santa Ana. He's pulled more tail than a beaver pelter. We've got Ando down below this.
No, that is not me,
best
sir.
friend. Oh, no, we've got Ando along with my co-host, the fabulous Craig Newton. He may look a little surly tonight, but that's just because, well, he's old, and that kind of makes people grumpy sometimes. We are going to talk about a lot tonight, including the ALCS and NLCS matchups, along with the pending Super Bowl. Where's my head tonight? Along with the pending World Series. And, of course, we've got some coach hirings that we're going to be talking about. And I think we're probably going to start with that just because I want Craig's blood pressure to get down. So it was announced today. We'll go ahead and start with this one. It was announced today that, or was it yesterday?
I think it was just.
It was announced either today or yesterday. It was today. Oh yeah. The Giants are hiring Tennessee basketball. Wow, I am.
You're all
with
over
it today.
the place.
The Giants are hiring at Tennessee. Baseball, the University of Tennessee baseball program manager, Tony Vitello. And we are going to go ahead and open up the floor first to allow our good friend Craig to share his thoughts. So Craig, why don't you let us in the mind of the Giants fan mindset about the hiring of Mr. Tony Vitello as the skipper for the Giants?
New Coke, the new Star Wars. Those were not good ideas. This guy has not played one fucking inning as a professional ball player. Not at any level. Not instructional league, not Class A, nowhere. He has not coached in a professional league anywhere. Buster Posey is putting his balls on the line on this one. I'll tell you that right now. If this guy is not successful right out of the chute, Posey, Hall of Fame induction or not, needs to go. This is on him. This is his decision. Now my question is, who the fuck's going to pick the coaches, and how much of activity is this so-called manager going to have on the day-to-day operations of the team? Is Posey going to be calling the shots from behind the screen, or is this manager going to have free reign to pick his coaches, set his lineups, and how's he going to deal with professional ball players? I mean, frickin' Verlander's almost older than this guy. I think he might be older than this guy. He's going to step into a major league clubhouse with absolutely no fucking credentials. But I don't give a fuck about how many fucking championships he won on the college level. The college level, at best, the very best programs is equal to AA ball. That's it. This is a big fucking disaster in the making, I think. And his rah-rah jumping in the stands and all that shit, that ain't going to translate in the clubhouse. That's going to translate in San Francisco. We don't want fucking rah-rah. We want wins. I'm done.
No, keep going, please.
Okay.
Please.
All right.
Entertain.
And I hear what you're saying. So, and Gene asks a question. So, Gene, what's up? I see you. I appreciate you coming through. Thank you, sir. And, because you did mention, he has not played a Laker ball at the professional level, hasn't done anything at the professional level. Why do you have to play the game to know the game? He said, I'm a better analyst than Booger McFarland, but I've never played a high level of football. That's not fair because Booger doesn't know that he's covering football time. My question to you, I agree with the question, though, Craig. Where does his experience at the professional level come into play versus, let's say, we talked a lot about Alyssa Nakin or even Albert Pujols? Where does that make a difference in this?
Well, let's take Alyssa Nakin. She already had the clubhouse. She had the respect to the players. She had respect to management. She had respect of the front office of the Giants. She knew her shit. You talk to her long enough, you forget she's a fucking woman. She is a coach. She's a professional. She's a lifelong lifer, baseball player, coach. She knows her shit on the major league level. Pujols, come on. I mean, he could have walked in and had respect immediately. I don't know how this guy is going to get the respect of major league players in that clubhouse. And I don't care if Posey walks in and says, look, I'm president of operations. You're going to listen to this guy. You're going to do exactly as he says. Sorry. No, my paycheck is at stake here. My career's at stake here. This guy goes fucking around with lineups and all that stuff and comes in with that rah-rah shit from college level. I'll tune him out so fucking fast.
Is there anybody that's on that roster? And this was a question that I had earlier today, and I thought you might know. Is there anybody that's on the University of Tennessee or that's on the Giants roster that played baseball at University of Tennessee?
Yes, 3 of them. 2 of them came over on the trade for our relief pitcher. I forget his name. They played for this coach. And then there's also one of our top level rookie prospects also played for Tennessee. But they're not on the major league roster right now.
So none of the players that are on the major league roster.
Yeah, I don't believe either one of those guys, either one of them are on the major league roster. They may be come spring training time, but if I'm playing for the Giants, who the hell is this guy? And what the hell is he going to tell me, who's played 15, 8, 9, 10 years in the major leagues, rode the buses, played in the minor leagues? What can this guy tell me?
About the pro
nothing.
game
He
versus
can't tell
the college
nothing.
game. That's fair. Okay. I see what you're saying. Ando, what do you think, man?
First off, entertaining as hell. Absolutely love it, Craig. Please don't ever leave this show. I love when you throw rants down. It rivals mine of the Cleveland Browns and Miami Dolphins from Monday night. But if you want to see that,
great.
Those were fucking amazing. And then my fumble on the 1 yard line. Craig has me slightly beat. I'm not gonna lie. That being said, it is very hard in this day in sports to get the rah-rah cheer from the sideline guy to have any type of motivation or any type of inclination to the game. And we've seen that, right? Mike McDaniels is a perfect example. He's going to be the rah-rah type of guy. Get together. I got this game plan. But when you get popped in the mouth or when you start having that negative culture shift, like the Miami Dolphins are having this year, it's kind of like a where do I go from here? You really can't. So I'm with Craig in believing that this manager is going to be on thin ice from day one. I don't believe he's going to have any say in the lineup. I think it's going to be strictly Buster Posey, right?
Buster Posey.
Because Buster only is the ESPN analyst. I always get the two mixed up. But Posey, I think, will have his hands. I think Posey will have his hands in the day-to-day operations. And it's just kind of more of a, here, you're going to be the mannequin we put in the window. Don't fuck this up. I think that's what his role is going to be. I'm sure he has knowledge on baseball-wise. So if he sees certain trends or, hey, guys, I've noticed we're not hitting from this side of the plate, or when we face lefties, we're seeing this kind of periodic change, maybe in the pitching, or we're not hitting sliders a certain way we're going to. I'm sure the manager will have a great coaching mind for that. But I think day to day, and as far as rosters, unless it's we're completely banged up from day one or spring training completely gets us out of our element, I think he's going to be more of that placeholder. Let's see what he's got. And if Buster sees that he's got a mind for baseball that we may not, because we don't follow the University of Tennessee baseball at all, it could be something that Buster sees and be like, okay, this guy's got more knowledge. This is why we hired him. Let's start putting more on his plate and see what he can and cannot handle.
I hear what you guys are saying. And honestly, I don't like the hire. I want to clarify that from the start. I am on the same side as you guys. I don't like the hire. I think that the criticism of Tony Vitello is warranted. But I will say this. You talk the reference, Ando, that you gave about the rah-rah guy in Mike McDaniel and the failure that has. You are 100% correct. But look about the opposite of Mike McDaniel. If we're going to use an NFL reference here, the opposite of Mike McDaniel is Sean McVay. Sean McVay is a rah-rah guy. Sean McVay knows football. Sean McVay has won a Super Bowl. So if you're a Giants fan, I think the ultimate thing that you have to do at this point, because obviously you can't do anything to change Buster Posey's mind, is hope that he is Sean McVay, the Sean McVay type where he's going to generate success and not the Mike McDaniel type. Because if he's the Mike McDaniel type, he's going to have powder on his nose, a weed pen in his hand, and ain't shit going to get done.
But again, it could be something that Buster sees that we do not as fans. Maybe he's been paying attention
100%.
to Tennessee baseball.
And it's I mean, when you're in the front office, you tend to watch a lot more college games because you're scouting for the draft. You're looking at players, you're looking at talent. And so in that so in that regard, I think that there is the chance that he's just seen something that we don't and how he manages the game. However, so there is that possibility, but my biggest concern for me is the egos, because you can't tell me looking at that roster that there are not egos on that team, especially when you look at the success of guys like Patrick Bailey, Adames, Chapman,
Robbie Ray,
fucking Rafi Devers, Robbie Ray. Like there are so many egos on that team. And not to say there's not talent. We all know there's talent on that roster, but the egos on that roster, a college coach, when a kid's getting an ego, you just slap him in the face, tell him to get back out on the damn field. Like there's just, that's all there is to it. You don't have to deal with it, but
go drink from your juice box and get back on the bench. Let's go.
Yeah, go eat your Lunchables and get back on the field. Like that's all it is. But when you are at the pro level, you're not gonna, it doesn't matter how big you are. You're not gonna look Rafi Devers in the eye and tell him to pull the stick out of his ass. There are plenty of guys that were on that Red Sox roster that were bigger than him, and then a single one of them was able to get through to him that he needed to pull the stick out of his ass. So what makes you as a coach that has zero credentials, that's not going to have any incentive for the players to follow you? What are you going to do to establish that room? Because, like you said, Alyssa Nacken had the room. She had the respect of every single one of those guys, except for a couple of new pieces and recent from this last season because she was in Cleveland. That she has that room. Albert Pujols would have had that room. He has no coaching credentials, so I still would have been against him as a hire. I am vehemently against giving a head coaching position for a major sports franchise to somebody with zero coaching experience in the league level. Going from in the NFL coordinator to a head coach makes sense. I will give you that. From a bench coach in Major League Baseball to a skipper, completely makes sense. But if you don't have any development, you have nothing to speak to as far as their track record is concerned, other than, we had really good meetings. That's like guys in the draft that look really good in sweatpants.
Yep.
But can't perform on the field.
Ryan Leaf
that happens in every sport. Ryan Leaf, Matt Leinart, Jamarcus Russell looked really good as a college athlete in fucking sweatpants.
Yeah.
So for me, like that's why I draw the line. And like Will said, it's all about analytics in sports today. Is his job just to do what the analytics say? That's horrible if that's the case.
Yeah.
That's really going to screw the Giants, because you can't rely on analytics to run any professional sports franchise. No matter what the sport, no matter what the level, analytics is a tool. It is not the solution.
No, it shouldn't be the be-all, end-all.
We see time and time again coaches failing because they rely too much on analytics and not enough watching the game, watching what you're seeing in practice, and allowing yourself to make an educated decision while referencing the analytics. Because some of those numbers, some of those things can be telling, but they should not be. You shouldn't have ChatGPT building your lineup on your way to the ballpark before you face off against the Dodgers. That should not be
agreed. Absolutely not.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason for it. Okay, the other one, I'm a little less. I have a little bit less of a problem with, and that's Kurt Suzuki being hired by the Angels. He is a first-time manager, but he has done some other coaching in the league, and he is a 16-year veteran of professional baseball. And so there is more experience than what we dealt with what we're dealing with Vitello. And this is a guy that's respected around baseball. That's a guy that walks into the room and has it. You may have to have been around baseball for a minute to know it, but if you follow baseball for long enough, if you have followed it for long, you know who Kurt Suzuki is. I'm sure that Craig knows him very well.
I get older and older as the players I used to interview and hang out in the clubhouse are becoming managers and general managers. It's just getting freaking old.
What are your thoughts on?
Go ahead, Craig.
Go ahead.
Suzuki.
No, Ando, I was going to call on you.
The only thing I don't understand is, as a manager, right? You want to build that culture from the inside out, and I haven't followed baseball with the intensity that I follow basketball and football. So I don't necessarily know the history of Suzuki. So I'm going to take it based off of you guys' word at face value. But the fact that he only got a 1-year contract, is that lack of the Angels don't want to commit to a guy that may not be there long term? Or I get that with football, especially football. You want to give the coaches anywhere from 3 to 5 years, because it's going to take time to get the right personnel in with schemes that you may not necessarily be able to move pieces because of salary cap. That I get with football. Right. Baseball, I kind of understand the same way, but can you hire somebody on a 1-year deal and expect the Angels to beat out the Rangers, to beat out the Astros, to beat out the Mariners, to make the playoffs? Or is it just kind of like we have our eye on someone else, we just need a placeholder, here's a year, prove that you're ready to go to another team and be a man? Like, for me, I don't understand why it's just a 1-year contract that they gave them.
Craig, do you want to take this question? Because I know how I would answer, but I'll let you have it first.
I think you nailed it. I think I hate to say it sounds derogatory, but I think it's a placeholder. I mean, 1 year. The Angels are a disaster of an organization. I mean, they've had such great talent.
Their owner is a piece of shit. I know that.
Just great talent, and just the great talent going to waste. I mean, give Suzuki the shot. I mean, he was a good player. I know nothing about his skills as a coach or anything, as a communicator. But 1 year, he's got nothing to lose, everything to gain. Same with the Angels. But if he's just a a placeholder until they find the guy that they want, then chalk it up to experience for him, and he gets a nice little check to go along with his 1 year. But the Angels managing is not their problem. It's a front office, it's the ownership. They have just ruined that team. All the talent they had, future Hall of Famer, just being wasted there. It's a damn shame.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Shohei was drafted / signed with the Angels, played with Mike Trout. Team didn't make the playoffs, and that's why he moved to the other LA team. I am correct in saying that, right?
Multiple times they missed the playoffs when they had both of them healthy on the team.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So, the answer to your question about why a 1 year deal, I think this could be. You don't normally see prove it deals for coaches, but that could be the scenario here. But I think ultimately the answer to your question comes down to the fact that Art Moreno is a fucking moron. Because especially with baseball, you can't make an impact on a team with just one season. Most of the time, obviously there are those outliers. Alex Cora won a World Series with the Red Sox his first season in 2018, but that's not there are plenty of other examples like it, but that's not the norm. You need time to establish a culture, to establish a chemistry, to start to shape the roster the way you want. An MLB skipper is going to have an impact on the draft and what's going on at the Double and Triple-A because they're starting to shape their roster months, even years in advance. Yeah. And a 1 year deal really hamstrings the ability to do that. The problem, the reason why I think this is even more difficult is the biggest thing that the Angels lack for their organization is something that Craig mentioned, culture. There is no culture on that team, and what little is there is absolutely horrible. They had, just less than 10 years ago, they had drugs being dealt out of the clubhouse. They had somebody die because of drug use. Their medical team was horrible. It was like they were borrowing him from the Los Angeles Chargers. Like it was a dumpster fire in that organization for a while. And now that we have more talent coming up because they have a decent farm system, they do draft decently. Now that you have some of these other young guys that are starting to make their way up, you have a 1 year manager that, while he does have the and should have the respect of those guys because he did have a great career. Not saying he's a Hall of Famer or anything, but it was a great career. 15, 16 years, that's not something you normally see with a baseball at any level. So to be able to achieve that is remarkable. But how are these guys going to buy into what he's trying to build, the culture that he's trying to establish, changes that he wants to make, when they have no idea if he's going to be there next spring? That is a horrible decision by the Angels organization. He's a placeholder. Even if he's a placeholder, let's say that that's what it is. I think it's correct, but let's say, working under the assumption that he's a placeholder, you are not going to make any progress as far as your locker room is concerned if they know this is a 1 year guy. You have to eat the money and do, even if it's a the deal that Tony Vitello got is a 2 year deal, if I recall correctly. Even a 2 year deal, Tony Vitello could be a placeholder for all we know. They could have decided they want to listen to Nakin, but they want to get an extra experience as a bench boss, and he was brought in to say, "Hey, we're going to send you back to Tennessee in a year, but you're going to put her as the bench boss, and she's going to run the team."
Yeah,
like that would make sense to me. Because it was a 2 year deal. 1 2 year deals as a head coach hiring, even for a first time head coach, 4 to 5 years should be the minimum. So these short contracts for both of these guys tell me that these teams don't believe in what they're doing. And that bothers me because you're fucking with millions of dollars a year across multiple players. That's 40 guys that you're impacting the career of at a minimum, plus the rest of your minor league system.
Not to mention the money that you're bringing into the franchise, because people are going to buy stocks and claims into the team. So by not giving the confidence into the person to run that team on the field in the day-to-day operations, basically what you're telling the fan base is, hey, I don't expect us to win this year, and this may not be our guy. Get ready for a bumpy. Like, as a Mariners fan, if this was going on with my team, I would be tuning out the team next year, unless we absolutely turn around the tables and are like the Brewers or the Cubs out the gate. Bam, show that we have the talent and lead the division by 10, 12 games going into June and July. The Angels need to figure it out. There should be, and I think I said this in the Sports Reports podcast, where there should be an option for the players, the managers, and the coaches to be able to vote the owner out in some way, shape, or form. I get that he owns the team. He has the majority stake. His money is tied up into the team. But at the same time, those players, you said it yourself, you're messing around with 40 players, not the coaches. No, we're not including the coaches. So what, 10, 12 coaches? Not to mention everybody that is affected in your farm league team.
About 10 is a pretty safe number.
So, yeah. So double that, triple that, quadruple that if you got AAA, AA, single A.
And then high A, yeah.
It's the A's need to have an owner that has something more than just the bottom line on his mind. And you can tell when owners have bottom lines.
Well, you're right, but like, and the A's, I know you meant the Angels. The A's also have that same problem. And one of the things that I think is interesting, and I want to get your thoughts on this too, Craig, is Art Moreno was going to sell the team. Art Moreno was going to sell the Angels 3 years ago. And there was a group lined up to buy it, if I recall correctly. And all of a sudden that got dissolved and he's keeping the team. So Craig, do you think that decision is now impacting continued mess ups with that organization? Like, how did we get from him almost selling the team to where we're at now with horrible choices, the horrible choices we're seeing with Posey? Like, what are you seeing, man?
I'm going to kick a dog down the street again. The upcoming lockout, I think, is the reason why you're seeing 2-year contracts, 1-year contracts going forward. I think this is going to be the norm for this season and going into next season, because there's going to be a lockout. There's no reason for the Giants to invest a boatload of money on an unknown. So they better not. I mean, 2 years, okay, fine. But they haven't shared how much money he's going to make. He was making $3 million with Tennessee, and Tennessee tried to lock him into a lifetime contract. So, I mean, clearly he has the respect of the college. He has respect of the college leagues, his peers and all that. But the Giants better not be throwing around more than $3 million plus for this guy as an unknown. But yeah, I think this will become the norm. You're not going to see a lot of long-term contracts going forward with managers. Just not. It's going to be a little crazy because if I'm in the clubhouse and I'm the player and you got 1-year contract. And of course, Suzuki, as a player, knows this. He went through a number of managers as a player. Players know that they sniff it out. Guy's not going to be here that long. Why am I listening to him? So he's really got his back up against the wall with going with the Angels. He was a good player. Longevity speaks a lot about his acumen as a ball player, as a catcher, as a team leader. But man, he's hamstrung with just that 1-year contract. Really hamstrung. So I don't know where they.
Oh, and by the way, Ando, I was just gonna say, I just realized Vitello is only 4 years older, maybe 5 years older than Verlander. And
Yeah.
he definitely looks younger.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he'll be a one and done. Maybe a year, maybe a season and a half. But yeah, I don't see him unless the Giants. Because you got to remember, the Giants play in maybe the most stacked division in baseball. I mean, do not get me wrong. The Padres looked competent until they got to the playoffs against the Cubs. But you play in the same conference as the Dodgers. And if you do not make the right plays at the right time against a team like the Dodgers, now I get it. You're kind of tied with your hands behind your back because of the deferred contracts that the Dodgers have, but you can still make a formidable team to show that you're not messing around. And the Giants, I don't think, took the right step in signing somebody with no major league experience.
Yep.
It's well, and you're right. That is arguably the most stacked division in baseball because the only team that's not a playoff contender is the Rockies.
Yeah,
Arizona's a playoff contender. They were sniffing around. They were close. They were actually they stayed in the hunt longer than the Giants this year.
Yep.
You could argue that
always and the Padres have Tecro behind them. Like there's a lot of money in that organization too. The Giants can either be one of 4 or one of 2, and you don't want to be one of 2.
No, absolutely not. I would say you could argue that every team in the NL West are entertaining to watch. Maybe not for the right reasons. I think a lot of people watch the Rockies to see just how bad they were, and that gets eyes on your ballpark. That gets eyes on your ball club. But at the same time, if you're not going to hire the right people, and again, I've said it 3 times already on the show, Buster may see something that we do not. And hey, if Buster's able to pull a diamond out of the rough, one pull on a claw machine, and you grab that animal, your girlfriend is looking at you like, oh my God, baby, do it again. And you're like, nah, one and done, baby, one and done. But I just, as a fan of baseball, I don't like to hire personally myself. But, whereas Vitello is getting 2 years to prove, I don't like that the Angels are handcuffing a single year to Suzuki if Suzuki has the metrics and the resume that he has as a ball player. So,
Well said.
Well said. They're confusing moves to say the least.
Also, I will say this: I did pull up Art Moreno's Wikipedia page because I wanted to do some digging on this dude. That dude looks like a creepy motherfucker. Like that dude is long hair away from being like a James Bond villain with the twisty mustache. Like he is a vaudevillain looking motherfucker. Like
it's, and I'm pretty sure when he was selling the team, it was because I think Art Moreno got me too, if I remember correctly. Or he said some shit he really shouldn't have.
Did you think he was?
No,
black?
I did not.
Okay.
No, because it's Art, not Arthur. Listen, pay attention and quit being a dick.
Yes,
all right, now let's talk about our World Series matchup. First, let's dip over to the NLCS.
Okay.
We had the Dodgers beat the Thursday night. We saw the Dodgers win Game 4 of the NLCS, beat the Brewers 3-1 with a series sweep. Obviously, the series was kind of dry. I've seen it said a couple of times that the real NLCS was the Dodgers versus the Phillies. Craig, do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That was exciting.
Same. Ando, what do you?
I like the Brewers and the Cubs.
What do you think, Ando?
I like the Brewers and the Cubs better than I like the Dodgers and the Phillies. I think after about partway through Game 4, I was like, all right, the series is going to be over. I don't think the Phillies got it in them to take it to Game 5. I was really kind of more drawn to the Brewers and the Cubs, even though I didn't think the winner had a chance against the Dodgers. I would have loved to have seen the Cubs and the Dodgers go at it because I think everybody would have pulled for the lovable Cubs.
Yep.
And that did go 5 series. We saw a little bit of bangers in that series between the Brewers and the Cubs. Brewers winning 9-3, 7-3, then the Cubs coming back winning 6-0. So you had your shutout in the series. And then you had your 2 close ones in Game 3 and Game 5. This this series between the Brewers and the Dodgers, I just don't feel after the way the Brewers lost game 1, I just think they were deflated. I didn't think that they had a chance. And I think it kind of goes back to you need to have the right manager and that mindset. And because the Brewers hadn't been in the championship series, they didn't have that championship knowledge. Because again, you want playoff experience in the playoffs, and you didn't have that with the Brewers. And that showed the rest of the series. Game 2 was 5-1. Game 3 was 3-1. Game 4 was 5-1. So the Brewers bats never took off. So as much as we give credit to the Dodgers, and Erica's not here to completely kick me in the balls today, and I don't want to give credit to the Dodgers. You got to give credit to the Dodgers as much as you got to give flack to the Brewers, because the Brewers came out flat. It is the most important 4 to 7 game series that you're going to have for the season, unless you make it to the World Series, and you come out looking like that. That says a lot about the team. And I think if the Brewers are smart, they're not going to blow it up, but they are going to look and say, all right, guys, we can't compete with arguably the best team in the National League. Where did we go wrong? And they'll kind of fix it from there. I don't think it's a total blow up, but something has to change, because you cannot go into a championship series and get swept the way that you did.
For me, I do think that the Phillies and the Dodgers was the true NLCS. And the thing for me is, the Brewers had the entire formula to beat the Dodgers. They did a great job at it during the regular season. 6-0. That's not an easy thing to do against that lineup. But the Brewers fell flat. And I think that when you look at both of the series that that the Dodgers were in, both of those series hitting came up flat when the opposing team needed things to connect to actually get one over on the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. And so it makes it more challenging for me to actually think that the Dodgers can stand, because to the Blue Jays' credit, they've been grinding since the ALCS. Mm-hmm. And I know we're going to have to be talking, or they've been grinding since the ALDS. We're going to talk about the Blue Jays series with the Mariners here in a minute, which I know is going to cause you some pain, Ando. But the Blue Jays have the one thing that Blue Jays have consistently done is get hits when they needed it. Not just George Springer, but Vladdy Guerrero Jr. was like 8 for 12 in the ALDS. Like, it was some stupid number. And so you have to, but the Dodgers haven't faced consistency. They've faced flat. And when you have that mentality for that long, because we're at 2 weeks now, essentially, where you've been facing nothing but flat lineups. If Toronto comes out awake, the Dodgers are going to get hit in the mouth, and they're going to have to sit back and respond. Because that's going to be very tough for them. And speaking of which, we did see the Blue Jays beat the Mariners in what was a fantastic 7-game series. The Mariners' bats fell inconsistent at very inopportune times. Mariners pitching gave up runs at inopportune times. And Ando, I'll let you have your solo for this one and go off on a rant about it. But Craig, I wanted to get your thoughts first. Did the Mariners or was that, should the Mariners have won that series, or did they deserve what they got based on how they played?
Nope, they deserve what they got. I mean, they didn't come through at clutch times. I mean, they didn't. As much as I can't stand George Springer from his history with the Houston Trash Cans, I got to give him credit. I mean, they hit when they had to hit, and the Brewers didn't. I mean, I said it was going to be the Blue Jays over the Brewers, and I stood by it, and I wasn't surprised at all. Brewers is a good team, but
Brewers
they weren't that
Mariners?
good. I mean, sorry, the Mariners. They're a good team, but
We're
they
all
weren't
kind of
that
out of
good.
it tonight.
Yeah.
All right, Ando. Speak your piece, brother.
Oh, Jesus. All right. First off, I'm not gonna beat up the Mariners the way that I beat up the Dolphins on Monday night. First off, hats off to the Seattle Mariners for making it to the ALCS. As a fan of the team since 1998, when I moved to 96, when I moved to Washington State, my grandparents got me in love with baseball, and that's how I became a Mariners fan. 2000 was amazing. 2001 was exceptionally awesome. 116 wins, the most in modern baseball. And then we lose to the Yankees, right? And I think everybody who remembers that team, I think honestly was under the assumption that we were going to make it back. And that is part of the reason why I'm kind of controlling what I'm saying tonight, because this is a very young Mariners team. Most of our core is locked up. We got J-Rod, we got Cal. Obviously Naylor is the biggest piece I think people want re-signed, at least according to the fan clubs. That is like the absolute number one piece. Our pitching looks good, but this series against the Blue Jays, 7, you said it best, right? The pitching the batting fell flat when we needed it most. The perfect examples was Game 7. Look, to take a 3-1 lead into the bottom of the 7th, I think if you would have polled all Mariner fans, we would have been objectively optimistic, because that entire series, with every game that we lost to the Blue Jays, 13-4 in Game 3, 8-2 in Game 4, 6-2 in Game 6. The Blue Jays went on a run and had that inning where we could not get out of our own way. Not necessarily error-wise, but pitches weren't going where they were supposed to, and our bats did not connect the way that they needed to. And all it took, walk, base hit, home run by Springer. That's all it took, right? I could sit here and say the Mariners were the best team, but as a fan of baseball, I will be the first person to say hats off to the Blue Jays. They were the clutch team, right? They beat the Yankees. They took out the Yankees, got the number 1 seed, and a team with championship DNA wins when it matters most. They don't make excuses. They don't look at the other team and be like, oh God, that other team, they got the home run leader. They find ways to win, and that's exactly what the Blue Jays did. Then the pitching for the Blue Jays did what the Mariners did all season. They shut down for 6 outs the way that they needed to, didn't allow another base runner. So, that being said, as much as it kills me to see the Mariners go home, I'm very optimistic about the future with the Mariners. But before we get to next season, we got to finish with the World Series. 7, if you want to pull me back so you can bring the other guys in. Let's talk about the World Series.
So I want to share this. I think that there is a lot of talent on that roster. And I think that Josh Naylor should be a player that you want to sign when you look at everything on paper. He hit over 300 this year. He definitely was one of the more reliable hitters in the postseason. I know he hit over 260 when several guys didn't even break 200. Yep. So that is a noticeable difference as far as the quality of hitting in your lineup. But I think that the key piece is there's 1 of 2 ways you can go after a season like this. You can wallow in the struggle that you got so close and yet you weren't even.
Yeah.
Or you can grow from it. When we look at, I think a prime example, you and I have lived in the Midwest for a long time. We know what happened with the 2014 and 2015 Royals.
Yep.
Kansas City lost that 2014 World Series decisively. Yep. Like there's a lot of things that will say it was closer than it was. It definitely wasn't as close as Joe Buck was with Madison Bumgarner in that series. I'm pretty sure they were sharing a hotel room. But
they're sharing
and
like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, they were close. But And I will always be salty about that just because I had to listen to Kansas City fans bitch about it for the entire year. Anyway, we get to 2015. Kansas City continues to grow. Kansas City adds pieces. Then you get to the deadline. Kansas City brings in Johnny Cueto, the last stone in Thanos' glove. And then you have one of the most amazing runs I can remember for a team. Outside of, I would say, obviously 2004 is going to be memorable for me because of what the Red Sox did. But in the last 15 years, to me, one of the most amazing runs what the Royals did in that 2015 postseason. Or you can be a team that misses the playoffs next year because Houston decides they want to try hard. And, they realize they have to play baseball before the month of June. They realize, or the Rangers actually decide to step back up again next year. And we see that. So, like, there's a lot of different things that you have to deal with in that. And I hope for the sake of the Mariners that they choose the path of the Royals and they come back and bounce back from getting hit in the mouth and absolutely own at least the American League West, if not the entire conference next year.
Yeah.
So now, as Ando alluded to, we turn our sights Friday night, game 1 of the World Series. We are going to have, and this will take place, and Toronto does have home field advantage throughout the World Series because they did have the better record.
No, I thought they had because the AL won. Isn't it that the winner of the All-Star game gets home field advantage to the World Series?
That is the tiebreaker. That was actually changed a while back. It's best record. Okay. Best record out of the two. If there's a tie, they look at record against, which they can now do because every team plays each other for at least a series. And so you don't really need that carrot. But if for some reason there's a tiebreaker, then you look at
that. I have to keep telling myself that the Dodgers aren't the 1 seed because they've been so dominant in the playoffs. You would think that they're 1 seed, but they're not. They're the 3. So, it's
weird. And so, with the Jays winning, they get the advantage. If the Mariners had beaten the Blue Jays, then the Dodgers would have it because they had a better record than the Mariners, which is crazy because the Dodgers were a 3 seed in the National League, and the Mariners were a 2 seed in the American League. But right now we know for sure that we're going to have Snell pitching for the Dodgers. They have said that is who is going to take them out, which I expected. Now, when I look at the Blue Jays rotation, you're going to have enough time. Gausman only pitched for 1 inning in that game against the Mariners. I don't even think it was 20 pitches. So that's, kind of like the discussions that I was having in other groups, because I was vehemently against Gausman pitching because I wanted him to be rested. He's a last resort. You're in the 16th inning. You need a pitcher. That's when you bring Gausman in to throw 20 pitches. But no, we're gonna have Snell starting. I think it makes sense to start Gausman, but they may just be trying, gamesmanship, waiting for closer time to make it more difficult to prepare because everybody's heading to Toronto. I think there was pictures today. The Dodgers were heading to Toronto to start getting ready. I think get used to the location and stuff. So, so my question to you guys is we look at game 1, we've got Gausman and Snell on the line. We're going to run into that assumption for right now. Ando, who do you think is going to win game 1? And then, who do you think is going to take the series?
So I've had 48 hours to sit on this, right? And initially, I was going to go for the Dodgers in 5. However, history has shown the 4 other times that there has been a division winner that has to take all 7 games to play against the opposite division winner with a sweep. The team that has had to go through the 7-game series is 4-0 against the team that swept. So that has shifted my mind a little bit. However, I still think the Dodgers will take the series. I think it'll be closer. I think it's going to be a 6 or 7 game series. Ultimately, though, Snell during the postseason, ERA is less than 1, 21 innings pitched, 28 strikeouts, has only allowed 6 hits. It's kind of hard to go against Snell, right? I think if the Blue Jays fall flat like every other team that the Dodgers have played, this is going to be a quick series. But I don't see that happening to the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays in this entire postseason has had 3 or 4 bats that have been reliably consistent. If you take into account Springer, Vlad, Varsho. Those 3 guys in particular have been, I would say, more than reliable in the series. And they don't bat 1, 2, 3, right? Springer's your leadoff. Guerrero is your 3 or your 4. And Varsho is in the bottom half of the lineup. So you have somebody that you can count on at some places in that lineup. And we talked about it last week. The Dodgers starting pitchers are incredible until you get into the bullpen. And that is where the Dodgers are going to struggle. If at any point the Dodgers have to rely on their bullpen to get wins, that is where we will see the Blue Jays attack. I don't think it gets to that. I think the Dodgers, again, will take it in 6.
Craig, what do you think, man? Game 1 winner and series winner.
You know me. I pride myself on my absolute bitterness and hatred of former Giants players who sucked when they're on my team and then blossom after they left the team. So I'm hoping that Snell is beaten.
Doesn't get out of the first inning?
Like a CPS protective child in that game.
Oh my God.
And does not get out of the fucking 3rd inning.
Don't lie, Craig. You don't want him out of the first. You don't want any outs when they pull Snell.
Oh, I'm gonna have to answer for that joke. Oh,
so
send him to HR 7.
He's going to HR.
I'm bitter, and I'm bitter, and I hope that he gets just massacred in that game. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, but I'd love to see it. I'd love to see the Canadians take care of the Americans, and the Dodgers just sweep them. I'd love to see that, but I don't think it's going to happen. But I really hate Snell and all his success he's had since he left the Giants in shambles. So I am not at all going to be encouraging Snell and his performance other than to be an absolute dumpster fire come Friday. Yes, beat him soundly.
Beat him soundly. Okay. So here's the thing, and Will in the chat brings up something interesting that I think is an important fact to consider. And I didn't mention this before because I'd forgotten about it, but luckily he posted it. So we'll do a quick reminder, see if it changes your guys' answers after I answer. Bo Bichette is coming back for this series, and he has been instrumental to the success of the Blue Jays this season. Yep. So to that, I will say I like the Jays in game 1. Gausman looked clean against the Mariners, both in his start and in his 1 inning appearance. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that rust, you had 2 weeks, you had essentially had a week off for the Dodgers. No, they didn't even have a week off. They had 3 straight weeks of baseball after the season ended with no break. And then now you're going to give them over a week. It's going to be 8 days?
Pretty close.
That can be a pretty impactful thing. Yeah. So I will say game 1 is going to go to the Blue Jays because Bo Bichette is going to have a chip on his shoulder and he's going to be hungry. Bo Bichette's going to be going for it. So I will say that the Jays get game 1, but I am going to also say that I think the Dodgers win, but it takes a full 7-game series. I would love a 7-game series. Absolutely. Because let's see, Friday is going to be game 1. That means Saturday's game 2. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is game 3, 4, and 5.
Yep.
And then you'll have
Friday
Friday is game 6. Saturday, if needed, would be game 7, and that would be November 1st. So this could be the first time in a long time that we haven't had baseball in November because the season was already completed. Do you remember, really quick, Craig, I know you know the answer, so shh. Ando, do you remember when the first time was that they had to play the World Series in November and what year it was?
I don't, but I am going to gander a guess because there was a national tragedy that happened in the United States that year. So I'm going to say it was when the Diamondbacks beat the Yankees in Game 7, 2001.
Yes, and it was, I remember I was watching the game when the midnight bells played to signal that they were into November.
Yep.
And that was just weird to think about. And then that's actually somewhat of a common thing with the way that the seasons have played out, is that occasionally you have game 6, game 7, the first week in November. Especially with the of the season with, because the wild card round isn't just a 1-game playoff anymore. Yeah. It's a 3-game series. And so that kind of added to it. But now we might, depending on how things go, we might be out of it before then. But I will say, I think the Dodgers win it, but it takes 7. I do think that if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. wants to actually build any kind of a legacy, he has to make noise in this World Series, regardless of who wins.
Dude, he's
because but here's the thing. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had a clutch moments in the regular season. I will not deny that. Vladimir Guerrero has not really up to this point until this season really established himself as a playoff powerhouse. Mm-hmm. But when we think about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., 2 years ago, he won a Golden Glove and everybody laughed because he did not look like a Gold Glove first baseman. I have made countless jokes about that fact.
Yeah. I believe you're the first person on Sports Report's podcast to make a joke about the extension that he got. What was it? $700 million over 7-8 years that he got earlier this year?
It was $500 million.
Okay.
Yeah, he got paid though, but to his credit, he immediately gets his team, and he was an impactful player this postseason so far. Yeah. He has immediately responded by getting his team into the World Series. So that by itself should be recognized, and I credit him for it. But if he really wants to cement his legacy, and not just be Vladdy's son, but have his own name, like Ken Griffey Jr. going off from Ken Griffey Sr., he has got to make some noise in this postseason and show that there is reliability and consistency there. Because Blue Jays fans, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but they melt down really easy. Like they're like as soft as maple syrup for some reason. I don't know if it's because they're Canadian. They don't get to spend as much time watching baseball as we do because there's snow on the ground. There's snow on the ground 9 months out of the year. Like, I don't know what it is. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has to make an impact in this postseason, especially for the Blue Jays to be successful and have a shot to win this, because you need consistent hitting out of Springer, Vladdy, Bo Bichette, Varsho. I think that you need to see more out of Nathan Lukes. Alejandro Kirk is like all of them have to perform, because as much as we hate it, the truth of the matter is that Detroit's lineup is stacked top to bottom. Top to bottom, that's just the way that it is. So for Toronto, they don't have that consistent stack name in every seat like the Dodgers do for their starting line and their rotation. So now you have to show that it doesn't matter, because this is the league's last grip on on any justification for a salary cap, because the Blue Jays don't spend as much as the Dodgers do. They're more of a medium spending team, and they tend to find some success, but they struggle with the fact that they don't spend as much as they probably should, and they're in the toughest division in the American League. So these guys have to connect. They have to be consistent. We need as many of those guys hitting north of 300 as possible throughout this 7-game series. What do you think, Craig? Do you agree?
I agree. And if I'm the Dodgers, I don't have to look at the entire lineup to decide who am I going to attack to take out of the game. I only need two players to take out of the game, take out of their rhythm. Whereas, where do you start with the Dodgers? Where?
Right.
They're from 1 to 9. They're just freaking stacked. I mean, but if you disrupt 2 of the 4 on the Blue Jays, that's gonna be trouble for the team. Big trouble. So
I agree.
But if you get in the Dodgers bullpen, it's gonna be grab the popcorn and enjoy the show because it's gonna be a lot of fun.
And that's the thing is you've got to, and that's why they've got to be consistent, because you've got to make the starters for the Dodgers uncomfortable. You've got to show consistency. Game 1 and game 2 in Toronto are going to be crucial for that, because if you can get into their heads that they're actually facing a lineup with bats that are connecting, that's going to change their approach as they go into 3, 4, 5 in LA. And that gives you the advantage of being able to say, you're being able to with smaller impacts in games 3, 4, and 5, get to their bullpen, versus I think they maybe sit on things a little bit longer with Snell in game 1. And then I would expect Shohei, they'll probably have Shohei start in game 3.
I think they said Shohei would start in game 4. Because according to the rotation that I saw, I think it was on Fox Sports, is they have Snell and somebody for game 1 and 5. Then they have whoever's pitching in game 2 going 2 and 6. Then the pitchers of game 3 is going 3 and 7 if necessary. And then Shohei and somebody else is going at it at game 4. But who's to say one of the starting pitchers for the Dodgers gets completely rocked and that doesn't change the complexion of how the series works out?
No, you're 100% correct. And that's the thing, because Snell isn't even their ace. That's Yamamoto. And then Ohtani is technically the second.
Yamamoto is going to start game 2, I think is how they had it.
So you have Snell in game 1, Yamamoto in game 2, probably Glasnow in game 3, Ohtani in 4, and then you go back and start with Yamamoto in 5.
No, Snell at 5, Yamamoto at 6, and Glasgow at 7.
Oh, I'm sorry, Snell at 5, Yamamoto at 6, and then Glasnow at 7, which that's not a horrible rotation for the World Series. That's a World Series caliber rotation. It goes that far, right? But how do you as a Blue Jays team prepare for that battery by itself? Because you have to be able to get past that to get to the softer stuff that's in the bullpen, because their bullpen is unreliable as all get out. So that's where the meat of your success will be.
I'm going to argue that they can. I don't think anybody will argue that the Mariners' rotation was one of the toughest in the American League, and they got through it in 7. Who's to say that they won't make mincemeat of the Dodgers starting lineup? If there's any team that can prove that they can hang with elite pitching,
it's possible.
It's the Blue Jays.
Right. No, and you're right. And in the Mariners definitely had, I would say, going into the postseason, the best rotation in the American League. I think that's fair.
I think the biggest mistake that the Mariners had in their lineup is they didn't have Wu start. I would have started Wu in game 6 personally myself. But you don't know how Wu was going to last, I guess is the word I'm looking for, right? Because he's coming off a pectoral injury. So you don't know how the pectoral is going to be affected, especially now with the colder month coming along. October, you're playing baseball in the evening now, not daytime baseball. It's all evening, which means temperatures are cooling down. Those muscles need more heat to stay active. That could have been a reason why they didn't start him. I thought he looked good in game 7 in his relief that he had. I personally would have kept him out another extra longer, but that would have put Wu pitching instead of Bizzardo, who gave up the home run to Springer. You keep Wu in another inning, maybe we're talking about the Mariners in the World Series instead. But again, it's the decision that they made. But I think the Blue Jays have proven that rotation be damned. They have people that can hit off every pitcher in the lineup.
They do, and that's the difficult part that you have to deal with. All right, so before we wrap up tonight, we actually crossed our hour for a change. Before we wrap up tonight, any final thoughts on the World Series? Ando, we'll start with you.
I think the two right teams made it. Like I said, I would have loved to have seen the Mariners, but the Blue Jays earned it. Please be entertaining. Don't be a 4-game sweep one way or the other. I am one of those that like a pitching duel, but if we're going to go 7, I want game 7 to be a 10-9, 9-8 game. Give me a couple dingers. I'm dying here, giving credit to the Blue Jays. Hold on, y'all.
Yeah, it causes lots of people physical pain. I get it.
Oh my god. Yeah. And you're a Red Sox fan, so I get it. No, just
I've had a weird taste in my mouth all week.
Yeah, please be an entertaining series. That's all I ask, right? Everybody, I don't think it'll be as entertaining as the Yankees and the Dodgers. Again, the Yankees and Dodgers are maybe the two most recognizable names besides the Red Sox in baseball. Like I said, just have fun, be entertaining as hell, please. That's all I ask for as a fan of baseball. And again, we need at least one game where it's like 10-9. If we could make it like 16-13, fucking football score it, please. But yeah, I want an entertaining series. Whether the longer, I think it's better. The longer, the better.
Okay, Craig, what do you think, man?
I'll be curious to see how the Dodgers attack Toronto's 4 best hitters, because Toronto can't attack the Dodgers. They can't. I mean, where do they start? They're all superstars, but Toronto's only got 4 that they can be attacked and can be handled, I think, by the Dodgers pitching. But I really hope that Toronto gets into the Dodgers bullpen. It's gonna be a lot of fun to see that, and I hope that Snell just gets slaughtered in game 1.
So is it safe to say that we know Craig wants the Blue Jays to take game 1 and 5 without question, and Snell gets the decision for the loss? I don't think that's
he's a Giants fan. He wants the he wants the Dodgers to get swept embarrassingly, like 20-0 for every game, and for guys like Blake Snell and Andy Pajes, Teoscar Hernandez, and Shohei to all just cry. Just
pretty
cry.
much.
I will say this. One of the things I was talking about, where do you attack in that lineup? There are, like, when I look at it, there are a couple of spots that you can, because Will Smith has been reliable. Tommy Edman has a playoff clutch gene, but he's definitely getting up there, so you can't count on it every time. Mookie defensively is one of the best shortstops in the game. He is a Gold Glove shortstop. I think he actually gets the National League Gold Glove for shortstop this season, but he hasn't been hitting like he was when he was younger. Same with Kike Hernandez. Andy Pajes has actually been a little bit more clutch this postseason, so maybe you pitch around him sometimes. And Teoscar, again, kind of inconsistent. Like, there are, really the things that you have to avoid are Freddie Freeman and obviously Shohei.
I would argue
Dalton Rushing.
I would argue Betts too. You gotta find a way to get those 3 to not make an impact for the Dodgers to have a chance. If you can
take those 3 out of the game, you have a shot. That's really where it has to be. And Mookie, if Mookie's not firing all cylinders, that's an advantage. If Kike's not firing on all cylinders, that's an advantage. And if you can get Freddie Freeman off of his game, that's another. The World Series against the Yankees last year. Yep. So the Dodgers are beatable, but the You just have to go out and do it. They're beatable. You just have to do it. You know what Nike says, just do it. Just beat the fucking Dodgers. Okay. I will say as we close out tonight, I love being part of Wild Wire Network. They have given us an amazing platform with lots of individuals to support our content. So thank you to Wild Wire Sports. If you are a sports fan, you should be watching Wild Wire Sports Network every day. Morning and evening, there are shows hosted by knowledgeable individuals that love to share their knowledge and their experience and their thoughts with you, and even hear what you have to say live in the chat when you can catch the show while it's happening. So definitely check it out. Like, comment, subscribe. We would hear from you and get your thoughts on things that you want to hear us talk about. For my friend Ando and my beautifully shaped man of a co-host in Craig Newton. Thank you all so much for supporting us tonight. I'm going to close out with a little video about everything that we do here at Wide Wire Sports Network, and you guys have a great night.
Let's go!